Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Rollout Show, episode 15.
I was really hoping you just forgot to do that.
No, I didn't forget, man. I remembered. I thought of that like 2 hours ago because I was like, ooh, 15, like a quinceañera. So,
Have you ever been to a quinceañera?
no, but I've been to the Filipino version, which happens when you're 18, called a debut.
What? No.
It's like the same thing because they got it when it was like
What is-
under Spanish control. So they took that tradition and kind of made it their own. It's like
Isn't
the same.
that just an 18th birthday party?
No, it's like the similar thing. Like everybody gets dressed up. There's dances, all that stuff. Like the formalness of the quinceañera, but at 18 instead of 15.
All right then.
You're just a little older, you know. Can do a few more things, kind of thing. Like buy cigarettes and lottery tickets
And drive.
and drive. Yeah, you know.
No alcohol though.
No alcohol if you're in the United States.
It's stupid.
All right, didn't know we were getting into that today, but anyway, welcome to episode 15. Glad to have you back. Feels a little different. I'm actually a little closer to the microphone because I cut all my hair. So if you guys
it
can
looks
see,
good, man. It looks good.
Thanks, Bradley. I appreciate that.
You
Yeah,
look
I've been
professional. You used to rock
you.
the Blaine Gabbert. Now you're
it's
rocking.
so gorgeous.
I don't look kind of like a Superman. You got a little Superman swirl in the front going
Thank
on.
you.
It looks
Yeah,
good.
little Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I like to think of myself as a Superman, but only better and with a better voice.
No.
No? Okay. Well, I try.
No.
You know, you have to say something to yourself in the mirror to get yourself out of bed in the morning, right? Just continue in the day.
You have a mirror that you can look at while you're still laying in bed?
No, I don't actually. It's, like the
Doesn't
first
make
trip.
any sense.
It's like the first trip you take to the bathroom. You're like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom in the morning. And then it's whether you look yourself in the mirror and like, okay, do I go back to bed where my body wants to go? Or do I take this day by the horns because I'm so great?
All right then.
I usually go back to bed. So, anyway.
Lucky for you. Some of us have to get in our cars and drive.
See, I usually get in my car and drive to a coffee shop where I sit there and actually sort of attempt to do work because, I work my flexible schedule.
Yeah, good for you.
Except on the bright side for you, you don't have to work like nights and then potentially have to deal with
True.
2-hour
Or
rain delays.
weekends.
Yeah,
True,
weekends are my work week, honestly.
I must say the standard 9 to 5 it's quite nice. Getting up in the morning sucks. But it's all right. I mean, it's not 9 to 5 either. It's more like 7:30 to 6. But
Hey, that's the schedule you picked.
it's better than weekends.
Yeah, that's
So that's
very
good.
true. Because, see, I have to kind of get in the mindset that, like, it's okay if I don't do a whole lot on Monday morning because my Sundays and Saturdays are so slammed that it kind of has to be my
It
weekend.
makes scheduling recording this podcast quite difficult.
Yeah, it does. Because, somebody has to have a big time 9 to 5 job that, can't record on the weekdays. So, like the rest of us cool folk that just sit around all day and.
Oh, trust me, if I could sit around all day, I'd do it.
I know
in a
you
heartbeat.
would.
I'm
I
ready
know.
to retire.
You're ready to retire? Been working a whole, roughly 2 years, year and a half-ish? Close?
1 year.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I
you
gave
know-
you more credit, but hey, tried.
Anyway,
Yeah, well, yeah, we should probably get to sports or something, right? That's what the
Some-
show's about, right?
some big sports stuff is happening, so maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah, a lot of big sports stuff is happening. The Pistons are thinking Reggie Jackson is not their point guard of the future, and
Oh,
they're
you
exploring
think?
trade possibilities.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
also exploring possibilities for Andre Drummond, trying to, unload his contract.
Look,
That's the big sports news, right?
if you want to get into it, we can get into it. Andre Drummond, they should have never paid.
See, had we had this conversation though, like before last season, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, you gotta pay him." I mean, he might be a future All-Star,
Yeah, but who cares? He plays a dying position that doesn't matter anymore, and you have to take him off the floor in the last 4 minutes of a game.
That's the main thing because I think people got enamored by how good he was in his contract year and how young he was.
He's great at what he does.
It's just
The problem is what he does doesn't fit in today's NBA. He gets stuck defensively, and He's not dynamic enough offensively to make up for it, and he can't shoot free throws.
I mean, it would work if they had somebody elite like a KD or Clay, Steph, somebody like, not just to mention everybody on
Stretch the
Golden.
defense out a little bit.
Exactly, because Reggie Jackson isn't really a 3-point shooting point guard,
Well,
and KCP's their best 3-point shooter.
That's sort of what they do in Utah, right, with Gobert. But even Gobert isn't such a horrendous free throw shooter that you have to take him off the floor.
That's why I don't like comparing Gobert and Drummond or putting them in the same ilk, because I think Gobert can do a few more things for you. Yeah, than him and DeAndre Jordan.
We don't need to have that argument again.
Yeah, well, I got heated last time because you were wrong.
Because you're an idiot.
No, because I actually see potential in people, unlike you.
We're moving on.
Yeah, let's move on. So, NBA Finals, that's happening now, right?
The Cavs managed to not get swept.
Cavs in 7.
No. Okay, JR.
Cavs in 7.
Did you see that tweet?
I didn't see the tweet.
Dude, after game 3, like minutes later, a tweet comes from J.R. Smith's Twitter account that just says Cavs in 7.
I love it.
But then he denied it, saying it was hacked. Why, dude? Own it.
Just own it, man.
Who cares?
Even if it was hacked, you know what? You double down on that and you say, hell yeah, I said that.
Dude, Lillard said that Portland was going to win
Portland
in 6.
in 6, yeah.
Who cares?
Blazers in 6.
Nobody cares about these guarantees anymore like they used to.
Yeah,
just own it.
Like Dion Waiters, the irrational confidence. I mean, J.R. Smith is like the same guy. Like, you have to have it.
And everyone's going to laugh and think you're crazy, but on the off chance you're right, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, come on. J.R. Smith is that kind of guy. He's the guy who's on that team to basically do stuff like that, to shoot a ton of shots and get in somebody's face and have that irrational confidence.
And that is one dude that has not played well at all this series, other than game 4.
Yeah, game 4 he kind of came into his own.
So let's talk about game 4, and then we'll talk about the series as a whole. I guess that'll be a good way to do this, since we haven't really talked since the finals started.
Yeah. Both been traveling.
Game 4, two takeaways. It was the most incredible scoring performance I've ever seen from a team. The Cavs couldn't miss, especially in the first half. Every time they shot, it doesn't matter if they were off balance, if they were fading away, it was going in, and you knew it. And the Warriors put up almost 60 in the first half, and they were down by 18. What are you going to do?
That was spectacular, and that was the thing they were talking about. Not Cavs. The Warriors put up 49 in the first quarter, and then scored under 40 in the second half.
The Cavs put up 49 in the first quarter. Oh. The cat. Did you not watch the game, buddy?
No, well, I watched it starting in the second quarter.
Oh.
I watched it starting in the second quarter. For the record, I was at work, and when we got the rain delay in the 12th inning, we started watching the game because we didn't know how long we were going to have to chill there. So we started watching the game after we basically decided that there's no way we're playing baseball on a field that's flooded. So
don't try to talk your way out of this.
Honestly, That's what the broadcaster said. They said the Warriors scored 49 in the first quarter and then scored under 40 in the second half.
That wouldn't make any sense.
I'm just going off of what they said.
No.
I don't trust ESPN radio.
Let me give you the quick rundown of the game.
All right, cool.
All right, first quarter starts. No one misses a 3 or a shot. They make a bunch of shots in a row. They get every single call, which we will talk about later. They shoot 22 free throws in the first quarter.
Okay.
They score 49 points. Second quarter, they also make every shot, but they don't get quite as many free throws. And they end the half with somewhere around 88, 89 points. And then the second half, they pretty much played like a normal team, but they were up by 18. And there was really nothing the Warriors could do to come back. They tried. Steph was a joke. Clay wasn't great offensively. Defensively, he's magnificent. Kyrie makes shots that no one else in the league can make.
That's been the whole playoffs, though. He's been great defensively, but an offensive liability.
Well, in Game 3, he had a really good game. Game 3, he had 16 points in the first quarter. But
outside of that game.
And I also don't want to use the word liability because Clay is very good about not taking bad shots. Even when he's cold, like a guy like Draymond, and I see it all the time. Draymond gets angry, so he just throws a shot up. It's
No,
a
that's
horrible
why
shot.
that's why Steve Kerr yells at him all the time
Right.
because he just takes bad
Clay
shots.
doesn't do that. And if Clay's gonna take open 3-pointers, even if he's cold, you take that shot. He's one of the best in the game at that. And he's amazing defensively. LeBron, he's a magical wizard, man.
That's right. You don't bet against LeBron James.
Kyrie is all a magic or wizard or man
With the
because of his
handles of a
offense.
magnificent beast.
And it hasn't been his handles. Like I've seen his pocket get picked a couple times. His finishes this series, he may have passed LeBron as the best finisher in the NBA
He's crazy good.
offensively. We gotta.
Yeah, I mean,
He's not very good defensively.
he gets the occasional steal, but actually guarding somebody, you're not putting your elite person having Kyrie guard him. But I mean, it's just he'll drop 50 on you.
He's great.
That's like,
But the Warriors still played a great game in Game 4. I think they're gonna come back and win Game 5 just because there's no way. The Cavs' first quarter basically won them that game. Scoring 49 and a quarter is not going to happen again. You're not going to. I think they shot like, I don't have the stat in front of me. They had to have shot like 80% in that first quarter. It was ridiculous.
hey, sometimes you get hot. I mean, you saw that with Houston against San Antonio in Game 1.
But generally, the whole team doesn't get hot. And yeah, I agree with you. I was expecting the Cavs to come out. I didn't think they were going to be lackadaisical because you have LeBron there, but you're down 3-0. You know the series is basically over. It's one of those things like you expect the role players to start booking their vacations for the summer.
See, I don't think that's really going to happen on that team because of what they went through last season. Because everybody wrote them off last year too, for the most part.
That's fair.
Because no one had done it before.
They got a little help last year. With the Draymond suspension and
which was
stuff
his
like
fault.
that. Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
I'm not one that's going to say the NBA's rigged for suspending him. They kind of did what they had to do. It's a tough call, but Draymond needs to chill out. I do think it's going to be over in 5. And then we can finally have a post-mortem on whether the Warriors are good for the league. What's LeBron going to do? What should the Cavs do with their roster? Yada, yada, yada. But, we'll see. Maybe the Cavs win Game 5 and all of a sudden it'll be a series. I am sort of rooting for it and sort of not. I'm torn. I just hope it's a good game.
What, for Game 5?
Yeah. We've only had one good game so far this series, and it's disappointing. Game 3. Game 3 was amazing.
Yeah.
It was an incredible back and forth game with a late rally by KD and Steph at the end, and it was magical.
That's why I'm not completely ruling out the Cavs, especially in Game 5. I think they can at least get it to Game 6. I mean, at this point, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, Cavs in 7." I mean, my heart says I want to say Cavs in 7, but I'm not going to. But...
I mean, with that logic, all they have to it's the mentality you have to have as a team in this situation.
Yeah.
They came into Game 4. All we have to do is get it to Game 5, and we have a chance. Now in Game 5, all we have to do is get it to Game 6. All we have to do is get it to Game 7, and all of a sudden you have a chance.
It's the mentality Golden State had against Oklahoma City last year. You know what? We're down 3-1. All we have to do is just play one more game.
Just
play one more game, and then that's it. Like, I mean, last year it kind of happened twice. 3-1 lead. I mean, and it was raced.
Can you do that 4 times in a row against this Warriors team? And in my opinion, if the game was called correctly, the Warriors probably would have won last night. I know you said you didn't watch the first quarter. It was a joke. They shot 22 free throws in the first quarter. Every single time LeBron or Kyrie drove, they got a foul call, and they weren't calling anything on the other end of the floor. It was a horrendously called game in favor of the Cavs. And then the whole debacle with the technical fouls and Draymond Green happen, and that's just embarrassing for the NBA.
Because like nobody like Steve Kerr. That's the thing. Like Steve Kerr didn't argue it. Draymond Green didn't argue it. That's the whole debacle at halftime.
So what happened is towards the end of the second quarter, Draymond Green elbowed Shumpert, looked around the neck area. Shumpert flopped, as he always does. He does. He did the exact same thing a few plays earlier on Steph and got the call.
A few plays earlier was the opening tip.
No, that wasn't the opening tip. It was a jump. See, you didn't even watch the game. What are you talking about?
I watched the highlights.
No, it wasn't opening tip. It was like mid-second quarter.
I do not trust ESPN anymore.
Oh my
it was first quarter.
It was second quarter. It was a jump ball in second quarter.
It was first quarter.
This is embarrassing.
It was first quarter.
All of your reputability.
It was the first.
I don't think
because I listened to it on the radio.
I don't think it was first. If it was first quarter, it was in the end of the first quarter. It was not opening tip. One of us watched the game.
Anyway, yeah, and I watched the second half, and you didn't.
I did watch the second half. I didn't watch the last 2 minutes.
Okay, because when I texted you when I was watching it at the very end after I left work, you said, I'm not even watching it.
Oh, yeah, I stopped at the last 2 minutes when it was a 15-point game with 2 minutes to go, and they were putting Matt Barnes on the floor. That's when I quit. So, anyway, Mr. I don't watch the game. What happened
I couldn't
was...
watch the game.
It was a jump ball. Draymond Green going for the rebound, elbows Shumpert in the neck. Shumpert overly reacts, as many players in the NBA today do. And they called a personal foul. Fine and dandy. Draymond Green kind of throws his hands in the air like, what did I do? And then Steve Kerr comes running off of the bench onto the court saying, what the heck, ref? What the heck, ref? The ref throws a tee up, but generally when a ref throws up a tee, he'll point at who the technical is on, and this ref for some reason didn't do that. But watching the highlight again, when he throws the tee up, he's looking at Steve Kerr, and that's who I assumed the technical was on all along. So the third quarter comes around, and Draymond Green argues a call, doesn't seem to do anything worthy of a technical, but they throw a technical anyway, which, according to the official scores table, Draymond Green's out. That's 2 technicals. Well, then the refs are like, no, that's 1 on Steve Kerr and 1 on Draymond. But the official scores log had the technical from the second quarter on Draymond Green. So there was this whole debacle about how many technicals does Draymond Green have? Does he have 1 or 2? Who's lying here? Is the scores table lying about what the refs told them? Did the refs tell them incorrectly? What happened? So I don't know how you feel about this whole situation. To me, it just looked like a misunderstanding. It looked like what they ended up calling was accurate, but it was a bad look for the league.
See, my thing is that everybody in the arena thought, and like nobody argued, because like if Steve Kerr like had such a big deal, like, oh, that foul wasn't on me, that technical foul wasn't on me, okay, like nobody said anything, and Draymond thought he got ejected.
Not at first.
Why was he walking off the floor like pumping up the crowd, like whenever? Okay,
so here's what happened.
Which should have been a technical too if they're paying attention.
Here's what we can get into that. I don't think that's technical. Anyway, plus, first of all, elbowing someone in the neck's not a technical. That's flagrant. Anyway.
That's what they call, bro.
No, they didn't. They called it on Steve Kerr.
After they rescinded it.
No. Oh, my God. Did you even go back and watch the play?
Yes, I did.
When the ref calls
watched it 4 times
when
right
he calls the technical, he's looking directly at Steve Kerr. So
and
anyway,
they all wrote it down and said it was on Draymond Green first, and I don't know how they would all get together and say like, oh, well, yeah, that's on Draymond Green, yeah.
That's why I'm saying it was an obvious misunderstanding. And then once the second technical happens, even the play-by-play guy...
First quarter.
Really? You went through all that trouble to find out it was a minute left to go in the first quarter?
I'm just saying...
win. Okay, you win.
After you called out my credibility, yes, I did.
Well, you did say it was on opening tip. It's very different.
Because that's what they said on ESPN.
Okay. Anyway, after the second technical happened, I don't remember what's the name of the play-by-play guy on ESPN with Mark Jackson and
Oh,
Jeff Van Gundy.
I was listening to Hubie Brown on the radio,
So since you didn't, let me explain to you how it went on the television broadcast.
Well, no, because I saw that. I was watching on TV at that point.
So they called the technical, and they're like, well, that's a technical on Draymond Green. Wait a second. Oh, that's 2 technicals. He should be ejected. It's like he checked. It's like he didn't even remember Draymond Green getting a technical. He had to go back.
Because it was that long ago.
He had to go back. Come on.
Really? It was a long time in that game.
They're not focusing on anything else. No,
they're not focusing on anything else in a finals basketball game. They're just keeping up with technical fouls.
No, they're focusing on the finals game. And if Draymond Green second technical would be a big deal. What I'm saying is nobody realized that he got a technical.
No, everybody, you know what happened is the producer whispered in his ear, that's 2 technicals on Draymond Green. So then, that's Draymond's second technical, and then that's when he's throwing his hands up in the air, and then they're all like playing the music and everything, and Mike Brown's getting in his face.
The coaches had to explain to him that it was his second technical, because he only thought that was the one. Because me sitting and watching the game with other people, we were all like, what? Until the second one happened and the people started explaining it. We were like, what the heck? Draymond Green only has 1 technical. The first one was on Steve Kerr, obviously. Because Draymond Green didn't do anything to get a technical in the first one. Because all he did was throw his hands in the air and Steve Kerr comes running down the floor. And when they throw the tee up, he's looking directly at Steve Kerr. Obviously, there was miscommunication.
Well, because you can see that stuff happening all the time because Steve Kerr has to kind of go out and calm Draymond down. So you can see it if they're standing next to each other, you would see why they would point at Steve Kerr, whether it was and people would get confused whether it was Steve Kerr or on Draymond. Because people would expect it on Draymond, because Steve Kerr has to come to his defense or Draymond might, kick somebody or punch somebody. I mean, you have to admit, he's a very emotional guy. Absolutely. And if Steve Kerr doesn't go out there, something worse might happen.
He's doing the baseball thing where he's going out there to defend his guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was all horribly... We can disagree on what it looks like happened. And obviously... The second technical on Draymond was a joke anyway, but the point is this was hugely mismanaged. It looks like a joke to the NBA. This is a horrible look. This ref crew did a horrendous job, especially because after all this happens, the players got so chippy. KD and LeBron started talking. There was shoving, and the refs didn't do anything to try and calm it down.
Well, yeah, and then you see the videos of Zaza Pachulia getting in people's faces. It was a very dirty game, because even looking this up, just looking up Shumpert, you see the pictures of Zaza Pachulia on the ground punching Zaza Iman Shumpert.
Is a dirty player.
Yeah, he's a very, very dirty player.
And I wish he was not on the Warriors. I agree with that.
Yeah, it would be. They need Delly on this team because I would like to see Delly and Zaza go at it, but
I'm interested in, as someone who obviously disagrees with me, do you think this was the NBA trying to meddle and keep Draymond in the game?
Not necessarily. I mean, I could see it happening. It's not out of the realm of possibility because of how much heat they took last year for even suspending him from half of the population, it seems like. Because everybody's like, well, the Warriors would have won if it wasn't for, Draymond Green getting suspended. The NBA shouldn't have done that. You should have kept the best players out there. It's like, well, I mean, if you rack up that many technical fouls in the playoffs, you deserve to get suspended. He knew. He knew what was happening, and he knew he had a certain range where he could go, and if he crossed that line, then no.
Last year was something like it sucked that it happened.
But
because they probably would have won had he been out there, but he did it to himself.
Yeah.
He cost that team a championship last year. I think the people who say that was the NBA intervening is ridiculous, especially having watched the game and seeing that almost every call went the Cavs' way.
And then you just see games like that though. There's at least like one game a series where it seems like one call goes everyone's way. I mean, the whole David Fizdale rant, they ain't gonna rook us. I mean, every call went the Spurs'
Oh
way.
yeah, it happens.
Everyone. Like
It's you. I would like to see it happen less
yeah, I feel you
because
on
I
that.
feel like that probably happens
It-
Warriors games too.
oh, absolutely.
And there's an obviously you can't get the bias out of the ref. The ref's a human. They're down 3-0. They want to give they're in Cleveland. They're going to give the Cavs the calls. But it's like at the end of game 3 with that Andre Iguodala steal on LeBron. Did you see that play?
Let's see that one.
It was the last possession the Cavs had down by 2 or 1 and LeBron had it on the wing or not in the wing, actually in the right corner and Iguodala stripped him clean, but LeBron flailed and I was sure they were going to call a foul and they didn't and that was the end of the game right there, that steal. That it's almost like it was a different crew from game 3 because game 3 was called so well and almost perfectly. Basically every call they made they were right, and game 4 was just a joke.
Well, I mean, it was one example I have of that. Like I know you said like first quarter, like everything went the Cavs' way. It was one thing Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were talking about when I was watching it at work. Was there was one call that I think it was Kevin Love got like a technical on or flagrant. It was on KD,
Oh,
and
that
they were
call
like,
was ridiculous.
yeah. Whereas like if that is KD on Kevin Love, that's not even called a foul or something. Basically,
And that's just the superstar part of the NBA that
Yeah.
I also wish they would get rid of.
I agree. That's just the first thing that popped in my mind when you brought that up a little bit
Yeah,
ago.
absolutely. That's sort of like LeBron gets every call, KD gets every call. The superstars get their calls. It's part of the reason people think Isaiah Thomas is having so much more success now is because he's allowed to push off and they won't
Yep.
call it.
Exactly, because he's kind of made a name for
Yep.
himself.
James Harden does the same thing. James Harden's able to push off and he can do whatever he wants because he just shoves you out of the way.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was fixed, obviously. I think people who say the NBA is fixed are
Warriors fans last year.
no, it doesn't make any sense. If the NBA was truly fixed, like those people who legitimately say professional sports are fixed
Mhm.
and the players are in on it, a player would have come out and said so by now. It's ridiculous. You don't have hundreds and hundreds of players and not one bench guy who's only making a couple mil a year is going to leak a report to somebody.
Or the guy that was on the team, like Jose Calderon on the Warriors, who was never actually even really
Yeah.
on the team. Like somebody who's on the team for like 10 days or something. Like Matt Barnes would have said something by now. Like, let's be real.
Like LeBron. LeBron's trying to create this legacy of the greatest basketball player of all time, exposing NBA fraud. I mean, you could count that as a positive or a negative, I suppose, if he destroys the league he's playing in. but it's ridiculous that no one would have come out and said something by now. None of the coaches, no one, none of the refs.
Even if it was back in the 90s, like Dennis Rodman, come on, that was a guy who would have said
Someone would have
something.
put it in a book by now. I mean, even if it's to profit, someone would have wrote about it in a book.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, it was horribly managed, though. The game got out of hand. It was overly physical. I don't know. That I understand they're people and they can have bad nights too, but that refereeing job was a joke. Also, not pointing at the person you're teeing up when everybody always points at the person they're teeing up. It would have clarified this whole thing. I think his name was Mark Jackson too, the ref, because they talked about him an awful lot.
Oh, yeah.
The one that threw the first tee. If he had just pointed after he did it, all of this confusion would have melted away.
And had they actually went over, and then that's the thing. I wonder, because they have to tell somebody, and you see the person typing it or writing it down, like in
Right.
the book for the stats, because I was watching it at work with people who have worked numerous basketball
Right,
tournaments and
mhm.
everything. So they're all like, I mean, it's really impossible to screw that up. Like it takes a special kind of something to screw it up.
Because
That's
the
why
ref is coming over and telling you what to do.
Well, because that was right around half, like right before half is when we turned it on. So this is like when everything was going on. We saw the Draymond play live when all that confusion was going on. That's when I was like sitting and talking with my, coworkers who'd all worked, different basketball stuff over and over. And that's why I was like, wait, how do you screw that up? Like Like, it's impossible to screw
What
that
must
up.
have happened? This is the only thing I can think of that's reasonable and doesn't look like the NBA's fixing basketball. Is Mark Jackson, the ref, makes the call, tees up Steve Kerr. The head ref doesn't confirm with Mark Jackson who the technical is on and assumes it's on Draymond Green, goes up to the scorers table, tells them technical on Draymond Green, whatever, and back to the game. And Mark Jackson just assumes the head ref got it right. That's the only thing I could think of. Because otherwise, how do you screw that up?
Because you do the meetings and fact check all that stuff, and you have to like talk to people and say like, hey, is this is it? Oh yeah, and then like Ty Lue's like, yeah, looks good. Steve Kerr, yeah, looks good. Like, and the refs too, like they have to meet and check over that stuff too. And it's
Doris
like,
Burke reported that all of the scores table officials unanimously said, yeah, the ref said it was a tech on Draymond Green. So with that knowledge, the only thing I can think of is that
because otherwise it
just had to have gotten it wrong.
Because otherwise, I mean,
it's a bad look, man.
I don't think it was intentional, but that's why I had the position I had on that. Because that's about the time I came into the game, and I was with all these other people who worked in basketball and all this stuff, and it's like, what? Like, this just looks sketchy, Like,
and they were calling bad technicals on, like, one of the bench guys that doesn't play for the Cavs.
Dante Jones?
Yes, Dante Jones and KD were talking to each other, just jarring back and forth, and they just called a technical on Dante Jones. Didn't call one on KD. It's like, why? And then there was another one where...
And then KD ended up getting a technical, like, either later in the game, right? When it was him and LeBron both got teased.
And then there was another play where it looked like someone punched the ball out of bounds, so they threw a warning. But if you watch the replay, he was just like fist bumping in the air, and the ball just basically hit his fist accidentally.
And then you have like Zaza, who we were all watching this live at work, who literally like slaps the ball away from the ref and like sends it down the court, and then nothing got called on. Yeah,
I didn't even see that play.
Yeah, no, it was, I forget what it. Somebody ended up
game 4.
Yeah, it was game 4. Somebody ended up falling on the ground. I think it was right after the KD got the call on Kevin Love that everybody was arguing about, and then somebody was arguing it should have been a foul on, I believe Clay, or it was Clay or Iggy on something on Kyrie, and then Zaza's right there, and then the ball is like falling like out of the hoop, and then the ref's like running to grab it, and he just slaps it, and it goes down to the other side of the court.
I don't like Zaza, man.
And then like all of us are screaming, "That's a technical!" Like,
Zaza's not even good. Like, when you're worse than JaVale McGee, just get off the floor. He's just bad. And he doesn't seem like an overly nice person.
He's probably like adored in Turkey too.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's enough talk about the game.
And the refs and all that.
I would like to say, obviously this is a bit premature because the series isn't over. Blah blah blah. The series is over. Warriors in 5, just like I said before. Anyway.
Cavs are 4-6, just like I said earlier. One game at a time, buddy. One game at a time.
What should the Cavs do with the roster? Where do they go from here? Because
the thing is, like, Golden State's not going to be this good next year. Is the only thing. The only way they are, because they're going to have to shed salary.
Why?
Because they're going to lose role players. You're not going to have JaVale McGee back unless he signs for a veteran minimum, which I doubt. Do you seriously
no, he'll probably get a good deal.
He's gonna get the contract. Ian Clark is getting talked about getting like the mid-level exception at $8 million.
Good.
See, Ian Clark's gone.
Surprise guy.
You might have to get rid of Iggy.
They will probably keep Iggy. Here's the thing: they may not be quite as good, but they'll have their 4 guys, and that team, in my opinion, is so far ahead of every other team. Especially since KD has said he'll sign for less than the max. He's on record saying that. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but he said he will.
A lot of people say things before it comes time to sign on the dotted line. A lot of people say things.
Look, they can get by with veteran minimum centers. They did it this year. They'll do it next year. Some of their role players,
gone.
They'll have Iggy and Livingston. And
Well, Livingston's a free agent too.
oh well,
He's gonna
he
get
might
he's gonna
leave.
get big money, like not big money, but not veteran minimum money elsewhere. So it
We'll
depends on really
see,
what he wants to do.
because it's not like they can only pay their top four guys. That's ridiculous.
I'm just saying it's like
It will be more difficult,
it's gonna
and
be a much older team.
perhaps, but your core is young. You have that core of four, you can win a title.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, when it gets into the dog days, like, when KD went down, it's going to be like, if that happens, next season, if KD goes down or something like
Mhm.
that, then it's going to be much tougher for them to fill in because they don't have as many pieces as they
We'll
will
see.
have this year.
We'll see. Maybe.
Because I think this is going to be the best they're ever going to be talent wise, top to bottom. This is the best they're going to be.
Probably. No,
Unless,
that I
like,
would
Chris
probably
Paul
agree with that.
signs for veteran minimum to be the backup point guard to Steph Curry or
Right,
something.
which is
Like,
basically how the Cavs and the Warriors are filling out their rosters right now currently. But I agree. The more important role players you lose, the worse you're going to get. We'll see. We'll see how many they retain, because Clay's pretty cheap, Draymond's pretty cheap relative to this new salary
and
cap,
the cheapest person, like basically the eighth highest salary right now in the finals is Steph Curry.
and he's going to get paid.
Oh, you
But
have to max him
they can also
first.
use the Larry Bird rule with
Well,
him.
with
and,
Steph, yeah.
So we'll see. I think the Cavs. Tristan Thompson was pretty good in Game 4. He was a joke in Games 1 through 3. Um, after Game 3, Steph Curry had more rebounds in Game 3 than Tristan Thompson had in Games 1 through 3. That should not be happening with 13. It's not like Steph grabbed 20 boards. 13.
Yeah.
You're there for offensive rebound. You got $80 million because you're a good rebounder, and he's been horrible. He was pretty decent in Game 4. Kevin Love
He looked really good.
In Game 4 he was great. The rest of the series he's been bad offensively, but he's been able to get
getting
good
boards.
rebounds.
Yeah, he's made up for Tristan Thompson's
if I had to pick
ineptitude.
one of the two, Kevin Love's a little more expensive, but I'd probably rather have Kevin Love. So if you could flip Tristan Thompson for something,
I really think you can.
even if it's like a top 10 pick to get some youth on that team, that's not a bad idea.
I mean, I could see the New York Knicks all over Tristan Thompson. I don't know. It just seems like something they would do. Get some youth on that team,
Yeah.
him and Porzingis.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be
Tristan Thompson's a good player, but
Yeah.
he looks lost defensively. Like Kevin Love's not a great defender, but most of the time he knows where to be and what to
Right.
do. Tristan Thompson looks like a horrible defender, and I've always thought he'd be a pretty good 5 in this new league, but I think I was incorrect.
I don't know if it's just something going on with him physically that we don't know about or something.
And that's always a possibility in a championship.
Because the last 2 finals, he's been like, I mean, honestly, an
He's been
unsung
great.
hero.
I mean, the first finals he was in was the reason he got $80 million.
And honestly, if the Cavs weren't going to give it to him, there were teams lining up to give it to him.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Bismack Biyombo through 3 rounds last season. He got 70.
Well, he's overpaid.
I mean,
But-
oh yeah, everybody was overpaid last offseason. Yeah.
I would try and flip Tristan Thompson if I could. I may try and flip Kevin Love if I could. I don't
Depending
know.
on who you could get.
Would you flip Kevin Love for 1 year of Paul George?
No.
So if you're who do you say no? The Cavs?
If I'm the Cavs, I say no.
Really?
Yeah, because I just don't know if Paul George would fit because there he would need to play power forward, which he's refused to do in Indiana. He wants to play small forward, and you're not bumping LeBron. He's a ball-dominant player, and he's not going to want to give up the ball.
Well,
I mean,
so I think LeBron and Paul George could both play at the same time. They have lineups where LeBron plays center. They go so small.
Yeah.
So
I
think
mean,
they
LeBron
could
would
make
make it work. LeBron would make it work. I know. It's just I don't know how Paul George would do. Is honestly the thing.
It depends on how bad he wants a ring. If he wants a ring, he would swallow his pride and go play with LeBron. I think that trade works for both sides. If I'm the Cavs, I'd rather.
Oh, it works out great for the Pacers
NBA
because I mean it gives them a I mean, because Kevin Love's a star. It's just he gets underrepresented on that team. But when the time they made that trade, Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love, that was the
Well,
missing
when they made
piece.
that trade, Kevin Love was considered a top 10 guy.
And most people thought he would go to Cleveland for 1 year, and if they didn't win, he was gonna jump ship and get the max from the Lakers or something. But he didn't. He stayed. Like, I mean,
If I'm the Pacers, I like that trade because Kevin Love's locked up for another 4 years, and Paul George is probably leaving after next season. If I'm the Cavs, I like it because look, the NBA, it's a talent driven league. The more talent you can shove in a roster, the more likely you are to win. Generally, there are exceptions such as Greg Popovich, but generally, the more talent you have, the better chances you are of winning. And Paul George, in my opinion, is significantly better than Kevin Love. So I'd take it. Plus, Paul George is a great defender relative to Kevin Love. Kevin Love's decent in the post, but he's not great perimeter. And I don't know. I just do it because, in my opinion, the NBA is the one sport where the winner of a trade is the one who gets the better player. And most of the time, there are exceptions, aka Nets in Boston, KG and Paul Pierce.
oh yeah, that's a
But
big exception.
most of the time, the team that gets the better player comes out ahead. And I don't know. I'd do it. I think it's an interesting trade anyway.
That's an interesting thing to think about, and honestly, it'd work well for Indiana because if they got Kevin Love, then they would have a serious pitch to Gordon Hayward to try to bring him back to Indiana.
And they'd have a star for the next 4 years. That's a big deal.
That would be something that could actually convince him to go back home to Indiana because, like, if they're going to try to pitch to Gordon Hayward just because, hey, it's hometown kid and he's the best free agent on the market,
Right.
arguably, but but the thing is, like, all right, he's a small forward. Paul George is a small forward. Paul George probably leaving in a year, and then it's your team. It's like, well, if it's like I'm not really moving up anywhere, I might as well just stay in Utah or something, or go to Miami or
Yeah.
Boston.
Well, I mean, it's tough for the Pacers to make a pitch to anybody right now.
Yeah, because
They're
there's
in a
so much
bad spot,
uncertainty.
yeah.
I mean, Larry Bird quit. I mean,
But you get Kevin Love, who's a legitimate star, probably not superstar. He's a legitimate top 20, top 25 guy.
Paul George or Kevin Love? You
Kevin
say?
Love.
Kevin Love, yeah, he's
Yeah.
top 20 guy.
So I don't think you can win a championship with him as your best player, but it's also an opportunity for Kevin Love. He's got his title now. Go show everyone that you're a superstar again, kind of thing. Because the thought process or the opinion of Kevin Love has dropped significantly since he got to Cleveland.
Because he's the third musketeer on that team. Like
Well,
he's sacrificed.
Oh gosh, where the heck did Kevin?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Memphis, and
No,
I knew that wasn't right.
Actually, he got drafted by Memphis, and then they did the draft day trade, and he traded him to Minnesota.
What'd they get for him?
They apparently really loved OJ Mayo,
All
so
right,
they traded
nicely
OJ
done.
Mayo.
Nicely. Actually, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because OJ Mayo was pick 4 and Kevin Love was pick 5, and then they just traded the picks, and I was like,
That's horrible.
I didn't like it at the time.
Anyway,
I was a Kevin Love fan.
he was good for 25 and 15 basically every night.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't know. Maybe he can be that again if he's the number 1 guy. I think he'd be a great number 2.
I think he is.
Number 3, he gets. I mean, you only have so many possessions to go around, and when you have as dynamic of a scorer as Kyrie, there's no way you're going to be the number 2.
And then you have you have the best player on the planet, LeBron
Right.
James, and so he's there to offensive rebounding and to stretch the floor, which is what he does. He's great at it.
I'm trying to think back to when that trade happened. I feel like general consensus was Kevin Love was going to be the number 2. Just because Kyrie was still so young, we didn't know what he was.
I think he was banged up that season right before LeBron got there. He kind of battled injuries. He had the spat with Mike Brown, which ended up getting Mike Brown fired a second time in Cleveland, And then both guys have since said, yeah, we wish we would have done a couple things differently. Like Kyrie's owned up. He's like, yeah, I was like second or something year in the league or something. He's like, it's kind of...
He was basically 20.
Yeah. He was like, what, 2 years out of high school or something?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, Mike Brown is a coach with a lot of pedigree, so he probably said some things to Kyrie that Kyrie didn't like when Kyrie thought he's the entire franchise at that point. So, but both guys have since matured and moved past it, I guess.
I hope Kyrie continues to improve because watching him most of the time is so much fun. The nights where his shot is off is a little Kobe-esque,
Yeah, he's got a
where
little Kobe in him.
he keeps shooting even though it's not going in and he won't stop. But he's fun to watch. I hope he keeps getting better. Yeah. Anything else on that you want to talk about?
No, we've talked quite a bit about the finals and the Cavs, and we'll probably have much more to talk about next episode.
When the series is over, presumably.
Yeah, because I don't even know what day it would happen if
Game
there even
5
gets to
is
a Game
Monday.
7.
So Game 6
would probably be Thursday at the latest. Yeah, Thursday.
So Game 7 would be Saturday.
So we'd probably know by the time of next episode what happens, even if it got to a Game 7.
If the Cavs win in 7, you think it's fixed?
No, I think that's just LeBron is from a planet we don't know about.
Oh, I already think that.
Gifted.
I love LeBron, man.
Gifted from God to Akron, Ohio.
Good. Watching, he's a point guard out there, man. He's incredible. Some of the passes he makes. Oh, I love LeBron. Also,
crazy.
I don't know if you watched it. Game 3, he basically the game was on the line. He drove the lane and kicked it out to a wide open Kyle Korver, and he got slammed for that decision.
He really did. Honestly, I have to trust what LeBron's instincts were. I mean, Kyle Korver is there to... If Kyle Korver's wide open, I mean, he has one of the highest three-point percentages ever.
Here's the thing. LeBron may be the best finisher in the league. You have a wide open Kyle Korver, who is a top 5 shooter in the league, and statistically, the best shot in the NBA is a corner 3, an open corner 3.
And LeBron knows that too.
And this is the reason you brought Kyle Korver to the team. It's the same thing that happened with Ray Allen in the Heat. They brought him on to make that clutch 3 when they needed it.
And Ray Allen made that clutch corner 3.
Kyle Korver has been disappointing, to say the least, this series. And yeah, I think that just shows the difference between someone like LeBron and Kobe. Because Michael made those types of plays in his career, kicking it out to Steve Kerr for a game winner. Kobe would have shot. Kobe wouldn't have kicked it out.
I mean, that's why Kobe and Shaq broke up, because I mean, Kobe would have shot. Like, that's the thing that had Shaq and Penny stayed together, which would have made them so dynamic, is because they would have kind of deferred to each other. They kind of had more of that relationship,
right?
Especially at the beginning, but then it kind of foiled towards the end. But
man, how amazing would it have been if Kobe and LeBron's roles were reversed? If LeBron was the one who played with the prime Shaq,
oh my gosh,
that team would have been disgusting. They could have won like 5 in a row.
That team, like,
plus LeBron is generally considered way more likable than Kobe, so Shaq probably wouldn't have left unless there was some jealousy going on over who's better or whatever. But
which I could see, but I mean,
would have been crazy.
That would have been ridiculous, honestly. It would have been ridiculous because, I mean, he's such a facilitator. I mean, it wouldn't have been fair.
Plus, you finally give LeBron a good coach for the first time in his career. Imagine the things he could do.
Hey, Ty Lue's a pretty good coach.
He's okay.
Show some respect.
What's he earned?
He won a finals.
Yeah, LeBron won a finals.
I don't know, because that team was not looking good when they had Blatt, and they fired Blatt, brought Ty Lue in, who had the respect of the entire locker room, and has kept that respect.
They've looked good. What? I don't understand. They've basically been the same team.
No, like they were on a... You remember the losing streak they had in January?
You remember the losing streak from this season?
No, that's
right before the playoffs started?
That's what I'm talking about. Like, they were all at odds with each other. They weren't looking good out there. Kyrie was not being the same Kyrie, and then they brought in Ty Lue, and everybody took off.
I'm saying
part of that could have been
literally
Kyrie being hurt.
Exact same thing happened this season, right before the playoffs started. They went,
and you had zero rumblings about people being unhappy with Ty Lue, did you?
That only happened because LeBron never liked David Blatt, I think. Ty Lue was LeBron's guy. Now no one's going to rumble because Ty Lue's LeBron's guy.
Well, and everybody likes Ty Lue because they won a championship.
Oh, yeah, and they like him, But I think to say Ty Lue is a better coach than David Blatt because he won a championship isn't fair to David Blatt.
Well, no, I mean I wasn't even saying that. I'm just saying Ty Lue's a good coach, and you're like he's okay.
Exactly. I don't think he's earned anything. What has Ty Lue done to show he's a good coach?
What has Steve Kerr done to show he's a great coach?
That is, well,
because he got a lot of the strategic ideas from Luke Walton.
That's fair.
Yeah, and he's even said, I didn't make them a great defensive team. I haven't really done anything about defense. That's all Mark Jackson.
No, you know what? That's a fair point.
Both these teams just have ridiculous amounts of talent, they just both coaches are there to manage personalities.
The
so that's
only
what they do well.
I would argue is that LeBron, most reports would say, is basically a player coach, and the Warriors don't have that. Is the only difference. Is LeBron helps coach the Cavs, whether Ty Lue likes it or not. It's LeBron's team, and there's no one like that on the Warriors. I mean, you could say Draymond, but
I mean, because you can see it though. Like LeBron's even talked about it. Ty Lue like shouts at LeBron a lot and puts him in his place.
Oh yeah, and I've seen when LeBron make a mistake. I think it was Game 3. He looked over at Ty Lue and he's like, "My bad."
Yeah,
that was my mistake.
You don't see LeBron do that to really any coach.
No, it's LeBron's guy. I feel like it's the first coach LeBron's ever had that he respected.
Yeah.
Like maybe Spoelstra.
And maybe that was mainly because D Wade and Pat Riley.
Right. You know, I think he respected Pat Riley more than Spoelstra, but it was
at the time.
Oh,
now
yeah,
he doesn't respect him at all.
Just like back then, we thought Spoelstra was a joke of a coach, and now we thought he should have won Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
It's amazing how things change.
How things change in a year when you lose your franchise player and you pick up guys on veteran minimum contracts and throw money at people because you got to fill out a roster because you missed on everybody.
And then you almost go 500.
And then had Dion Waiters not gotten hurt at the end of the year, you would have made the playoffs and probably would have really challenged the Celtics.
Things change quick.
Life comes at you fast, man. It comes at you fast.
All right, one thing I'm going to talk about before we move off of basketball, and this was not in our show notes because I just remembered.
Okay.
Tokyo 2020. Did you hear what sport they're adding?
I did not.
3-on-3 basketball.
Oh, so Ice Cube's thing.
Yes. Ice Cube's thing, which I think is like end of June. It's going to be on FS1.
That's going to be sick.
They're going to air it the day after the actual tournament. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to try and find a way to watch. I don't have cable, but maybe I'll go to my mom's or something. Anyway.
That should be cool.
I think it'll be awesome. But Tokyo 2020, 3-on-3 basketball. I hope the NBA guys participate in that. I imagine they won't want to do both because I think they're keeping 5-on-5 as well.
Yeah.
And I can't see guys wanting to do both. It seems too tiring for the offseason.
Right, yeah. It's probably a
Except for maybe
tough.
some of the younger guys just wanting to get their name out there.
Or like kind of like the Rising Stars participants, kind of people like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, say like a Ben Simmons or somebody like that. Throw them in there.
Guys that are good, not quite all-stars, but are as good as anyone in the world. I think it'll be interesting. I'll also be interested to see which the top tier NBA guys choose to do. The guys like Clay and Draymond and KD and people like that. I know it feels like Olympic participation is coming down a little bit, just because the fervor of the whole 2008, the Redeem team has kind of died. Mm-hmm. I hope guys keep doing it though. I understand why they don't want to, but
I think they will. I think it's just like what we saw last year. It's going to be a lot younger people. And the thing about
last year, we still had Melo and KD, Steph. There were some
Kyrie
names.
Was there.
Yeah.
But there were like some younger guys.
Like that still doing.
I mean, Harrison Barnes was on the team, man.
And Harrison Barnes is one of the best players globally. He may not be one of the best players in the NBA, but globally he's
great.
A superstar.
And that's like the point you brought up. I just thought of with the 3-on-3 challenge. I wonder if it's going to make it more competitive overall. Because like I mentioned Ben Simmons, I mean, he's obviously from Australia. You know, I wasn't saying he's going to play for the U.S., but like different teams could have like a different makeup, you know, so it'd be easier for a team like, say, Australia to field a more competitive team on 3-on-3 compared to 5-on-5 going up against 5 all-stars from the United States.
And the other thing is this going to be like like a volleyball where there's multiple U.S. teams, where say you have a team of Steph, Clay, and Draymond going up against a team of Kyrie. I'm trying to think of younger guys who in 2020 will still be young enough to want to play. Devin Booker and someone else.
Devin Booker, Andre Drummond, and let's see who else we
and
got.
Kyrie. There we go.
Kyrie. There we go. Yeah, just two
that
people
would be
jacking up
awesome.
shots, and then Andre Drummond just coming down with every rebound and trying to get it to him.
I would love to see two U.S. teams go at it like that. I think that'd be fun.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Wanted to fill you in if you weren't aware.
I was not aware. I
3-on-3 basketball coming to the Olympics in 2020.
Nice. All right, so we're going to change course just a little bit and talk about the other finals going on right now, the Stanley Cup finals.
It's so embarrassing how much less we're going to talk about this than how long did we just spend on basketball?
Overall on basketball and the other nonsense we've thrown in, about 55 minutes. And you know what? I was looking at the clock, and I felt us wrapping up around 25, and then we just started down a rabbit hole of arguments in different positions.
Man. That's how it works. We never shut up. We're through the first line of our 7-line show notes, and we
skipped
in.
one of said lines.
Which line?
Dwight Howard shooting threes.
Yeah. We'll save that one.
We'll save that for another time.
It was just going to be about how quickly Dwight Howard said during this offseason the number one thing he's going to work on is shooting threes, and it shows a shift of this used to be considered the best center in the league, and now he has to completely change his game to keep up with today's NBA. Anyway, let's move on.
To stay in the league.
We'll talk about that another week.
We got time.
That's a timeless topic.
Anyway, Stanley Cup Finals. Pittsburgh is leading 3-2 right now, but just to let you all know, I just got back from a trip to Nashville, otherwise known as Smashville, and freaking great. I didn't go to the Stanley Cup, but I was there, the weekend before.
Why didn't you go to a game?
It was like $2,000.
Why didn't you go to a game? You got this Rollout show money? We haven't made any money.
We made like, what, 3 pennies?
Not much.
We need to get some sponsors. Hey, sponsors, hit us up at The Rollout Show on Twitter. That is at The Rollout Show. Sponsorships are available. We could have your company name here as we're talking hockey. Ding. All right, let's go. So anyway, the home team has won every game in the series, which has been great for Nashville. People breaking out the catfish in game 3 and 4. Man,
what's the significance of catfish?
During one of the playoff games earlier on, it was against the Blackhawks. Somebody threw a dead catfish onto the ice after somebody scored a hat trick. It became a thing where all these people are bringing in.
It's just a meme. It's a meme, basically.
Kind of, yeah, but it's like they're actually bringing in real catfish that are dead. It's spectacular.
No, that's what I'm saying. The whole organization, or the fans of the organization, have taken it on as a meme. So now they bring the catfish to participate.
Exactly, and the fans, and like one of the fans, Nashville fans who went to Pittsburgh for game 1 actually got arrested and is getting charged in Pennsylvania court for throwing a catfish on the ice. So it just goes to show you some cities and teams like to have fun, and then others don't.
Here's a question. Were they playing when he threw the catfish on?
It's a hockey thing. Like whenever you score a goal, like somebody will throw something onto the ice. It's like kind of customary, especially in the playoffs.
No, that's another thing about hockey.
Like a hat trick, everybody
dangerous.
Throws.
Why?
It's part of the sport,
what
man.
If someone's skating backwards and runs over and trips and cuts someone else's jugular?
There's downtime after a goal is scored where it
has to be still.
No, they go over to the bench, they grab some water, they draw up a play, the ref skates over.
So no one was on the ice.
The only people really on the ice were the goalies, and it was not a
no one was skating around.
Nobody was really skating around.
You know what?
It's
Pennsylvania.
Casual.
You need to have some fun because that's funny.
Exactly. So anyway, a few teams do this, like the Florida Panthers down in South Florida. They'll throw fake rats on the ice and stuff. After it's part of their playoff celebration. It's a long story.
So stupid.
It's
so stupid.
Anyway, I'll make the long story short. Apparently, earlier on in their history, there was a rat that got onto the ice, during a game, a live rat, And then the oldest like player on the team, I can't remember his name right now, but he was like a future Hall of Famer, just kind of ending his career in Florida. And then he's like skating around, he shoots the rat against the ice and like kills it against the boards. And then it kind of just became a thing
That's
on their playoff run
hilarious.
that they
Oh,
throw
that's
rats onto
great.
the
I
ice.
like
It's
that.
right, isn't that great?
I like sports stuff like that. It's part of the
Like
fun of
hokey,
sports.
kind of quirky stuff.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's part of the
that you
fun.
rally around.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like Nashville and the Catfish, which
like-
fits for Tennessee.
I mean, it's not as fun, but it's like the terrible towel. Like, it's
Yeah,
something that it's stupid. It makes no sense, but the fans rally behind it, and it's just fun.
Exactly.
It's like going to a Georgia Bulldog game and everyone's just barking.
Rah, rah, rah.
It's weird. But I participated as a University of Georgia football fan, and I barked. And it's embarrassing.
And it's embarrassing, and you loved it.
I did. I loved every second of it.
Exactly. There's
Until
something.
Blair Walsh missed a game-winning field goal, and
Remember when he was like the best kicker in football,
Yeah.
like for 5 minutes?
Blair Walsh. If you want to come on the show, you can, but I still got a little resentment towards you.
It would be a nice emotional moment for Bradley to bury the hatchet with Blair Walsh right on the show.
It would be. That'd
mean,
be great radio.
Is he doing anything right now? Anyway?
I mean, he's probably trying out for different teams.
yeah, we'll track him down. We got
Let's
this.
do it. We'll put our people on it.
All right. Intern Lucy's on it. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you right here. Rooting for Nashville. I'm not a Nashville hockey fan. I'm actually a fan of one of the teams they knocked out. That is not the Chicago Blackhawks or the Anaheim Ducks. So you can. Dang straight. So, but you know what? I'm rooting for Nashville, the underdog. Never been there before, and also not really a fan of Sidney Crosby. Sorry,
Sid the Kid.
he's a great player, but I think he's kind of a little not a nice person. Let's say that.
But he's the best player in the game, so who cares?
I don't know about in the game, but he's great.
But he's the best player in the game, so who cares?
Anyway, and honestly, it's just been so weird because game one, it was a very close game.
So
Pittsburgh ended up
close.
winning 5-3, but it was a lot closer than the score would indicate. 5-3.
Two seems like a lot for hockey, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than that. It was like I think last minute collapse is what happened, and because it was tied until like the last minute, and then 2 quick goals kind
I
of
got
thing.
tired.
One of those things, and then the next game was like 5-1 in Pittsburgh. So it's down 2-0, and I get to Nashville around Thursday, so they're setting everything up around the arena. I see the Smash car. It's awesome. They're setting up all the concerts. Alan Jackson going to be there. Everybody's pumped up. You couldn't even look without seeing Predators yellow wherever you went. It was kind of great. So I kind of got involved.
Excuse me. Predators yellow?
Yeah, they're yellow and blue are their colors. Kind of
Okay,
goldish,
Carry on.
goldish yellow kind
Just
of thing.
curious.
It's okay. But yeah, you saw like yellow shirts everywhere. Everybody was pumped. I took a lot of videos. It was a lot of fun being around there. And I'm really glad that Nashville won games 3 and 4 and then go back to Pittsburgh and lose 6-0.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's a little tough, but game 6 is back in Nashville. I fully expect Nashville to win back on home ice because I mean, that crowd will make any player play a lot better than what they've been playing. Honestly, there's something about it. Like, I don't know, just being there, experiencing all that, it definitely helps out the players. And then having the Tennessee Titans rally around them and everything, like
I've heard
they're in their
about the
off-season.
O-linemen just
then-
chugging beer and doing everything.
chugging beer out of a catfish's mouth after
oh,
they
that's
poured
nasty.
they poured the beer into the catfish and then chugged the rest of the beer and then also chugged it out of the
That is
catfish.
so gross.
It's so freaking awesome.
Ew.
It's
Ew.
cool. It's cool to watch. Yeah,
No.
gross. I wouldn't do it, but it's
I
funny
would do
to
it
watch.
if it's a fake catfish. I wouldn't do it if it's a
Oh,
real
it was
one.
real. Big boys are going all the way.
Ugh.
And then there's, Marcus Mariota that's, making sure everybody gets home safely.
Good on him.
Responsible
on
Mariota
him.
because he's just standing there at the top of the suite in front of everybody. He's just waving the towel. He's having the time of his life. And then his all offensive linemen are standing in front of him and they're just throwing beer everywhere, going crazy.
Hey,
And
someone has to be the guy. The DD. Someone's got to get everyone home
you know
safe,
what?
especially when you need those guys. They have like the third best O-line in the league. They got to keep it that way.
They have a very good core right here. And also, you know what? I would trust Marcus Mariota to be that guy. He seems like a very responsible dude.
Very responsible individual.
Yeah.
Good
that's-
young man.
I
Good
I
young
trust
man.
him. I
Yeah.
trust him.
I trust him with my daughter.
I don't have a daughter, but sure, why not?
My
Anyway,
daughter's a actual canine. I was gonna say my daughter's a dog, but that sounds wrong.
My
So
daughter's a dog. How dare you?
yeah,
Yeah,
she's an actual canine, a corgi. Our assistant Lucy. If you haven't caught on to that running
intern
joke yet,
Lucy. Yeah, if you haven't caught on to that joke yet. Anyway, I'm going to touch on something else really quick in regards to Nashville, besides the fact that it's great town. Great town. Anyway, Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan getting a little heated in a couple of those Nashville bars over there after they were guests of the Predators to be the celebrity smashers for the Smash Car. In the video, which is a pretty short video, but you can clearly see Rex Ryan trying to throw somebody to the ground and getting restrained, and then Rob Ryan, after the fact, trying to choke the guy against a wall.
what is wrong with grown adult rich men doing this? Like,
What is wrong with the
like,
Ryan family?
why are you even in that situation? I don't
Like,
understand.
you're the guest of a team. Like, I don't even know why they invited them there. I don't know if they just hate Pittsburgh or something, because I doubt they're just Nashville Predators fans. Because, I mean, I don't think
Maybe
they're
they
not
live in Nashville.
I don't think they're from Nashville. I don't know.
Like, you're two grown adult men that have done very well for yourselves in life. What are you doing in that situation? Like, I understand you want to go out and have a good time, but why are you getting in bar fights?
And then there's also the reports of them hitting on a bachelorette party the entire time and stuff too. It's like what, like I know Rex is married and stuff. It's like what are you doing? Like, come on, just retire.
I feel like Rex Ryan after this is gonna have a even harder time getting another job. Because how are you? I guess he was always a player's coach anyway.
Yeah.
But how are you gonna tell guys to go out and be safe when you're getting in bar fights in the off season?
And I'm pretty sure, because they're, I guess Rob Ryan's nephew and Rex's son plays for Clemson. And another thing that's really bad is, Rob Ryan's doing this wearing a Clemson shirt. So, I don't think that's something Dabo Sweeney is really fond of, seeing, somebody in a Clemson shirt getting into a bar fight trying to choke a young man.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the main reasons Chad Kelly got kicked off of Clemson was for some circumstance involving a bar and a fight and threats.
Chad Kelly also threatened to go out to his car and get an AK-47 and shoot up
He's
the
a
joint.
good kid, John. He's a good kid.
Mr. Last pick in the draft.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Chad Kelly.
Did John Elway did Jim Kelly a solid by just picking him up real quick.
Then he's gonna get cut.
Torn ACL and all, Chad Kelly. Oh goodness. Anyway,
you got anything else for this glorious show before we get to Florida, man?
I do have one good thing. It's a good story, actually. Jameson Taillon, surprisingly, most people didn't really know about it, and it kind of surprised me as well. Came back from his prostate cancer surgery and made a start yesterday.
And we talked about him on a previous episode, right?
Yes, we did.
A few weeks back.
Talked about him a few weeks back. A 24-year-old top prospect for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's been in the league 2 years now, off and on, and he's kind of had a lot of injuries kind of derail his career to this point, and then he had just getting, I guess, a routine checkup, which is pretty common for an athlete, and then it's like, hey, actually you need to really get this checked out, and then they immediately take him to surgery for prostate cancer, and then we weren't sure if he was going to pitch again this season, or making sure his health got, his serious long-term health was okay, and then all of a sudden he's just right back a couple months later. Which is really good to see.
I like any story where someone beats cancer. Because cancer sucks.
It really does.
We all have either an acquaintance or a family member that's had cancer. I think that's a fair assumption to make, and it sucks and it's hard. So anytime someone can beat it, it's awesome. Good for that guy.
That's right. It's good. It's a really good story, and definitely serves as a tale and helps some other people out to maybe be a little discouraged, seeing that somebody like that.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you see someone beat what you have, it's encouraging.
One guy that comes to mind, Eric Berry, that's spectacular what that man did too.
And basically a year and a half, right? He came back from leukemia.
He did. Working out while he was doing chemo and everything, and just continuing his dream, and he was an inspiration for a lot of people. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cancer sucks. Go donate to a cancer research institute of some kind.
Good job, man.
Support our troops.
Support troops.
Hug
Katie's
your
a
mom.
choke artist.
Hug your mom.
Support cancer research. Shout out to the Levitar Show.
Michael Jordan's overrated. Go hug your mom. Go pet a dog.
Let me tell you, teachers are underpaid. Teachers are underpaid and underdeserved. And you know what? Kevin Durant is a soft player, and he's going to choke at the end of the finals.
If you don't understand this bit, we're stealing it directly from the Levitar Show. Basically, if you make a really controversial, hard take, just soften it a little bit with something that everyone will agree with. Like, go support our troops.
And it's a shout out to Frank Martin, the basketball coach for the University of South Carolina, who said something similar, who was kind of giving a hot take and then all of a sudden talked about, I grew up, I was a teacher, my mom was a teacher, and you know what? That's one thing I got to talk about is teachers are really underappreciated, and you know what? You need to go tell your teachers and thank them for all the hard work they've done. There's some great teachers out there, and they just do this job for the kids and everything, and go thank a teacher. Anyway, back to, that's basically what he did. It was great.
All right.
Anyway, it's time for everybody's favorite segment of the show. You okay over there, Beach Man?
Florida Man!
Florida Man. All right, guys. I actually have this week's Florida Man, and I saw it a couple days ago.
And you tried to send it to me beforehand, and I said, no. I want to be surprised.
You want to be surprised? I appreciate that.
I'm going in this blind like everybody else, and I'm very excited. For you to actually send me something out of the blue like that, I'm expecting greatness, and if it's not, I'm going to be so sad.
Okay, well, let's try this headline on for size. 911 call for ride to Hooters ended with trip to Florida jail.
So far, so good.
Okay. A Florida man wanted to go to Hooters so badly that authorities say he told 911 dispatchers he needed a ride to the restaurant because his grandmother had just suffered a stroke in the parking lot.
Okay.
Merritt Island, Florida, Florida man wanted to go to Hooters so badly. Instead, the 28-year-old blank got a ride to the Brevard County Jail Tuesday night after deputies searched for 3 hours for his grandmother. When they finally found her at another location, she said she hasn't had a stroke or asked anyone for help. News outlets say said man told the dispatcher he'd pay responders to take him to the Hooters on Florida's Atlantic coast. Hinkle was... Oh, excuse me. You edit that
out? Nope.
All right, well,
staying in.
You know
Just
what?
say his name now in all its glory.
Mr. Hinkle was arrested on charges of misusing 911. He was released on bond Wednesday night, and records don't list an attorney for him. You know what? You have to have a really bad craving for wings.
So okay, let's circle back. I want to make sure I got this right. He calls 911, says his grandma's having a stroke.
Yes.
They get there. He gets in and offers to pay them to take him to Hooters. Is that correct?
That is what it's saying here. It looks like they searched for his grandmother for 3 hours.
Did he get to Hooters?
He got to Hooters. They were in the Hooters parking lot and couldn't find her, and then I guess sent a search out. I guess when they were sending a search out, he was at said Hooters, and then I guess to try to make everything go away, I guess after they actually found his grandmother at another location and assume at her house or some other place, and found out that she was okay, said that, hey, you know what, I got you guys some wings, a couple brews if you want it, and we can make this disappear. And they did not have that for wasting over 3 hours of their time.
That is a great story. Nicely done.
Thank
Good find.
you.
Good find.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Who would have thought I found it on a San Francisco-based website?
There you go. Other places love making fun of Florida, man.
That's right, man.
And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all. It's exciting every day. There's always something new that's quirky and weird to talk about. Freaky Florida, let me tell you. Whew. All right.
I think that wraps us up.
That was this week's Florida Man.
Florida Man.
There you go. That's right. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to episode 15, otherwise known as episode 15. We appreciate it, and interact with us on social media. We're going to be releasing some more stuff soon, and see you next week for a lot more NBA Finals talk.
Yeah, if you don't like basketball, you probably don't want to hang out for the next couple weeks because
Yeah, you probably
it's going to be a
don't.
lot of basketball until football kicks back in.
Honestly, I mean, if you don't like basketball, you've probably stopped listening to our show at this point.
Yeah, it's
We've been
been
pretty
pretty
basketball heavy.
basically since we started. But once NFL training camp starts, we'll probably be all NFL
Or college football.
or college football.
I may lean more towards college football
I mean,
after.
my top three sports are NFL, college football, and NBA. So if you don't like those three things, you might as well stop listening.
And mine are baseball, basketball, and college football.
Yeah, you're wrong. Okay.
All right. Anyway, Bradley's wrong, but we'll wrap this up. I mean, we've already heard enough wrong opinions from Bradley today, so let's not keep embarrassing him.
Wow.
Just finish your Starbucks.
Wow.
Good job. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Roll out.
Roll out. Oh man, I forgot to hit record.